Hey everybody, welcome to What Drives Us 131. That's me busily twiddling buttons to make the music go down and make my voice go up. My name is Russell Frost, and I am one half of the hosting team of this weekly show about advanced tech, transportation, and more. My partner, as always, is Mr. Danny Cooper.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's good to see you vertical this week, Mr. Frost.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's actually nice to be able to sit upright and to not be doing a show lying in my daughter's bed with her pink comforter.
I was about to say, did you see what I ended up titling last week's show?
Interesting that you should mention that, and interesting that we should talk about this actually while we're live. Because, yes, I did happen to notice that, and I appreciate that.
I figure I'm safer if I mention it live than if I mention it off air.
You are a very clever young man. Yes, yeah, I thought it was a great title, of course, because I would have done the same thing if our positions had been switched. So
that is what I would hope.
Someday I hope to, we'll do the show maybe with you surrounded by Finding Nemo sheets or.
Mine will be like Frozen sheets or.
I was just gonna say Elsa, right? The ice.
My Little Pony or something like that.
My Little Pony.
Yeah.
Oh.
Big My Little Pony fan around here.
I thought you were a My Little Pony fan. Your daughter is?
Yes, it's my daughter that's the My Little Pony
fan. I'm sorry. I
can sing the songs if you want me to.
Oh, okay.
But you don't want me to.
I'm going to say that. So we're live via Google Hangouts on air today at 3:30 p.m. It's Wednesday, March 11th. It's show 131. Let's see. You can join us as well, I believe, and watch us live. Visit us on the Facebook page. I think Danny's thoughtfully provided a link there for you, right?
I have, and we share it every week. Normally we do this at 9 o'clock at night on Wednesdays, but today it's just Russell and I, so we figured, hey, let's knock it out in the afternoon.
Yeah, since we don't actually have real jobs.
One might say.
Is that? Should we not maybe admit that? Is that bad?
Let's just say we are non-traditionally employed.
We are non-traditionally employed. Very much non-traditionally employed. So so we chose to do the show this afternoon, which is kind of nice. You guys get it earlier, and we get to spend the evening, a very rare Wednesday evening, with our families.
Should be nice.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it. So let's see. We don't have a panelist. I don't really think we have 2-minute news topics, but I did. You know what? Do you mind if I sort of put in one of the 2-minute news topics from one of the panelists who couldn't make it?
Yeah, let's go for it.
I wanted to talk about. Let's see. I have to click around here, and I should send you this, Danny, so that you can post it in the showcase links, right?
Oh, that would be nice of me.
That's because that's something that we do, I think.
Well, I don't know if we'll get any live viewers, so I don't know if I'll worry about it. No one knew we were doing it this afternoon.
So it will definitely, that'll be part of the show notes at whatdrives.us. So the first news story was actually one that Tony Schaefer was going to cover, and it was dated for Monday. Letting everyone know that Andre Borschberg, that's a wonderful name, has started his first round-the-world flight in Solar Impulse aircraft. This is an aircraft that is powered entirely by solar energy. And he started from Abu Dhabi, took off a little after 7 a.m. on Monday local time, and is heading eastward through India, China, and then to the U.S., Europe, and Africa before landing back in the United Arab Emirates, hopefully sometime in August. I just wanted to say we wish him the very best of luck. We hope the flight goes well. We hope he proves the new version of the Solar Impulse aircraft works, because we're big fans. And I say we, meaning me. Maybe Danny too.
5-month trip. That's a heck of a trip.
It's not the fastest plane. But it's a gorgeous, beautiful, graceful plane. It looks like one of those gliders, and it has just obviously all the wing space is solar panels. It's It's a gorgeous aircraft.
It is very nice.
And yeah, I hope it actually has. I'm looking through the article. The article says it actually has wings wider than a Boeing 747. Of course, because it's very, very super efficient. It's very, very light, and it has to be because battery technology doesn't allow us to store energy to the density that gasoline does, where those wonderful, nasty, brutish, polluting jet engines can make up for that.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is. The amazing thing to me is that solar aircraft is even a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like on a human scale, like on a little scale maybe, but you know, that just blows me away.
It's bizarre. Impressive. Very, very exciting.
So thank you for letting me interpose that into the mix. And I guess along those same lines, posted on The Verge this week, Goodyear announced, they didn't tell us a lot about it, but they announced some new concept tires called the Goodyear BH03. And if you watch the 1 minute and 42-second video, you'll come out not knowing much more about them than we do.
About 3 seconds of content.
I'm sorry?
It's got about 3 seconds of content for 45 seconds.
Lots of music, lots of animation of tires turning. Not so much with the technical information. But the key to this, and you know, again, you watch the show, you know how we are. I mean, we support anything that's going to conserve energy, that's going to recycle it, that's going to generate it, because we think those are good ideas. The idea with the BH03 Goodyear is that it actually collects heat, generates some electricity through what they're calling a thermoelectric piezoelectric material. I have no idea how that works. I have to guess it has something to do with the expansion of heat. Probably moves the piezoelectric cells and generates some amount of electricity. But the idea is that, you know, now your tires generate a little bit of electricity, which hopefully helps power your electric vehicle.
This seems ridiculous. As someone who had a solar panel on top of his car as part of the my 2010 Prius, the idea of gathering up enough solar energy while parked, especially from tires which are, you know, 90% in the shade, yeah, seems awfully ridiculous. Now, taking the friction and turning that friction into energy makes actually a lot of sense. That's, you know, it's along the same lines as regenerative braking.
You know, and they talk about obviously in hotter parts of the U.S. where if you park your car on a hot parking lot, obviously there's tons of heat there. These tires absorb that heat and turn it into electricity. Yay, that's a good thing.
It still doesn't make any. I mean, your tires are going to come with wires now that get plugged into your car?
You know, there's some sort of induction thing, which means there's an energy loss, and I'm already thinking this can't possibly generate that much electricity.
Oh, did they say it was inductive?
No, but I'm just guessing. I mean, right? Because otherwise there's wires, right? Like,
yeah.
Who knows?
This doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But as with everything, I look forward to being proved wrong.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction, and that they're spending money doing this, hopefully legitimately looking into ways that these tires might, you know, help generate some electricity is a good thing. Now, I think the other sort of skeptical thing we could say is if they could just create tires that ran at a higher operating pressure and that never ever lost air, we'd probably save 10 times as much fuel.
Yeah, a fully sealed tire would be an interesting prospect, but I know there's reasons, you know, to need to have certain tire pressures out, or, you know, amounts of pressure out of the tire at certain times or whatever. Anyway, this was from The Verge, and it was interesting that they said the title for the article is Goodyear's new concept tires can help power your car. And in the video, Russell and I couldn't help but notice that the logo shown on the tire rim that the tire is housed inside of is that familiar Toyota cowboy, whatever they call it, cowboy symbol. Cow hat? No, cowboy hat?
A cowboy hat?
It's the cowboy hat, I think is what it's called, yeah.
I had no
The
idea.
little rope tee.
Oh, my.
So
the whole text...
Anyway, so it's interesting since Toyota wants nothing to do with electric cars.
What does Toyota and electric cars have to do with anything?
What's love got to do with it?
If this was a hydrogen generating tire, it could
Well,
collect water.
If only it let air in. If only it breathed in air. Right, Russell?
Which, brings us, we both segued to the next news story, and that's something we don't get to do with an entire panel very often. Green Car Reports, as well as, just about everyone, reported this week that Toyota's latest marketing plan for the Mirai, their hydrogen fuel cell vehicle, is an ad. It's a picture of the front of the Mirai on some desert plain, and the tagline is, "A car that breathes in air."
There's a couple problems with that.
I'm
Should we first talk about one of the most obvious problems?
I'm just letting that sink in for a minute. A car that breathes in air. Okay. Mr. Cooper, take it away, please.
The first fundamental issue is that, well, let's analyze the words that compose of the letters ICE. Internal combustion engine. Now that's a traditional engine, right, Russell?
It is.
So, internal combustion engine. What is required for combustion? Number one is a fuel.
Fuel?
And what else is required for combustion?
If only I knew, Danny. If only I knew.
If only Toyota's ad people knew. Air. Air is required for combustion.
No.
And it is it's quite obvious to anyone who gives it about 5 minutes worth of thought that every internal combustion engine breathes in air. Now, that was the big problem that most of the blogs were pointing out with this ad. The second problem I have with it is one that might be fairly unique to you and I, because you and I have had a little bit of up-close time with the Mirai. We haven't driven it yet, but we've been in front of it, we've opened up the hood, we've opened up the trunk, we've seen it expel its liquidy exhaust
a little
upon
puppy
us.
peeing on the floor.
It's adorable.
It's adorable. It piddles. Mirai piddles.
But if I remember correctly, the entire front of the car is blocked off. So there's no air going into the engine compartment.
Well, so what you're saying...
I could be wrong on this. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I remember.
This is a car that breathes in air but doesn't breathe in?
But doesn't actually breathe in air.
So what you're saying, what maybe one could take away from what you're saying is that the implication is it's going to suck the air out of the passenger compartment and asphyxiate the driver.
It could be that that's what Toyota's warning us about. So keep an eye out for future recalls.
Like tentacles coming out of the dashboard.
We will breathe in your air.
Here's my problem with this. I mean, it's fun. You know what? Everybody, oopsie. Now, granted, Toyota spends millions going oopsie, and so it's hard to be super sympathetic. But this is the second big time they've stepped in poop, to use another dog metaphor. And both times, it was kind of like trying to say that this car was better than other cars because of this. Not really I don't think the case that Toyota has to make is that the Mirai is better. I think the case that Toyota has to make is that the Mirai makes sense.
Yes.
And I
Because they're
think
not going to win the argument of it being better with the current enthusiast crowd out there.
arguably that may even be a charitable way of putting it.
But yeah, I see what you mean as far as, yeah, it's just they're not making an argument as much as they are patronizing anything else.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think they need to do that. They don't need to make fun of the BMW i3. They don't need to make fun of EVs. They don't need to put down any other technology. What they need to do is make the case that their technology is going to make sense. And here's why. We get that fuel cells as a way of charging batteries are a very clean way of charging batteries, sort of, if you don't start digging into the rest of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think the opportunity is for them to educate. I don't know.
And instead they're declining to do that.
They are. I also thought the modified Dr. Manhattan logo above a car that breathes in air was sort of cute.
That struck me.
So I had a little epiphany about this car.
I keep waiting for, anyway, Naked Man from The Watchmen to come out and drive the hydrogen car.
And Dr. Manhattan was very naked.
Very.
Very naked. Maybe they could get Dr. Manhattan as a spokesperson for the Mirai.
Now, that would actually be fun.
I tend to think so too. I'd like to see.
We are brainstorming in 5-minute little segment. We're coming up with better ideas than obviously their ad agency has.
And I'm thinking we're not getting any of the money their ad agency did. Nothing, unless did you get a check?
Well, I get one every once in a while, but
I
don't like to talk about it.
Bastard! I never get a check from them. So here's my thought. And forgive me because a lot of times I'm a simple guy. I don't have a super subtle mind, and nuance escapes me sometimes. So I tend to think along obvious planes. But this just struck me the other day about the Mirai, and I'm not sure. I haven't seen someone, either because it's so obviously stupid that no one's bothered to say it, or just maybe no one said it. So go with me on this.
Okay.
The Mirai is a fuel cell car.
Mm-hmm.
But what is a fuel cell car? It's powered by fuel cells. But in essence, a fuel cell car is an electric vehicle.
As I dribble all over myself, yes.
It just doesn't have batteries. Like most electric vehicles, it doesn't have batteries or an ICE to generate power for the batteries. So the fuel cell that we call it a fuel cell vehicle, it's actually a fuel cell powered EV. And you and I'll make this personal. I have taken Toyota to task vociferously on this show for a very long time about their lack of support of the EV sector. But they've actually just made an EV.
If you're being strict about it, yes.
I mean, so here's my epiphany. So
you're not creating their ad program for them, are you?
Oh, hell no. Not unless that check gets here. Okay, because I could use that. No. But here's my epiphany. So, we're all like, hydrogen, and who knows what Toyota's thinking? Nobody. I guess maybe Akio Toyoda knows what Toyota's thinking. That's about it. Yeah, they're going with this fuel cell thing, but how hard would it be to re-engineer the Mirai for a big-ass battery pack and make it an EV?
It's an interesting question.
That's
I have no idea.
We know that the fuel cell stack in this car is very, very small, which contributes a great deal to the internal roominess of the Mirai. so that a battery pack would probably require some restructuring. But I do kind of wonder if Toyota isn't actually getting a little bit of its cake and getting to eat it too, in that while they're being excoriated for making a fuel cell vehicle, they've also made an EV that maybe the Mirai is the first Toyota EV if they decide to abandon FCV technology. There's my epiphany.
Do you know how much money they've spent thus far on fuel cell technology?
I told you I wasn't very smart. Right up front. I know, right? Why spend?
You're a very smart man. It's just, unfortunately, this
Right.
is the reality of it. Is that they have put tons of money into this program, and a lot of it has probably been subsidized by various world governments, but they've put a lot of money into bringing this technology from being I think when I drove the Highlander FCV, it was like a $350,000 car.
Right.
Right, and the Mirai's going to be 70. Is that what it was?
I thought it was. Didn't it start at 55?
Sure, we'll go there. I don't remember.
Between $55,000 and $70,000.
Okay.
It's probably very safe to say.
So, anyway, they've invested a lot of money into this technology. I don't think they look at the 2017 model year and they're like, mid-cycle refresh, let's just change this to a battery EV instead of a FCEV.
I agree, but I mean, I get, and I'm not standing up for Mirai. I'm not standing up for hydrogen. I'm not standing up for fuel cells. But I guess I am saying the obvious, which is this is an electric car, and everybody wants Toyota to make an electric car, and guess what they have? I will be very interested if and when we get a chance to drive this car, what it drives like. Very interested.
Well, I remember when I drove the Highlander. I drove the Highlander at the same event where I drove the RAV4 for the first time, and they drove very similarly. Was it the RAV4? I guess it was an early RAV4 prototype.
Yeah.
That I drove, and it was not nearly as powerful as the production version ended up being.
Right.
But
which was a blast to drive.
Yeah. But the Highlander ended up being similarly powered. It's not like the RAV4 EV, when you put it into sport mode, but still a considerable little car. It's more powerful than a Leaf, I'd say. Of course, it had to be to pull a Highlander. Right.
Well, it will be interesting to see. I mean, how this develops. We have reached out to Toyota and asked them if they'd like to come on and talk about it. So we are looking forward to a response from them, hoping to get some people on to talk to us about their fuel cell technology in the car. And obviously, as soon as we have a chance to drive it, we will report on that in enormous detail.
I hope they just figure out a way to present the car and the technology without it having to be... I want Toyota to tell me why they decided to go with a fuel cell car instead of making it a passenger EV car, an actual EV, not just a RAV4 EV.
Right.
I want them to tell me why they did that and why they think it's a better direction to go. Because at this point, I don't feel like they've told you that. They've just said, hydrogen, it's potentially the other white meat.
Right. Exactly. I mean, and we have touched on this in conversations off the air, and this is probably a good time to have it on the air, which is, I mean, I don't understand why fuel cell makes sense in individual cars, in personal cars. It doesn't make sense. But we both agree that fuel cell technology makes enormous sense in large business transportation, whether that's trucks or delivery vans or whatever it is, because of the different way those vehicles are used. Mass transit vehicles that kind of thing. These things have regular routes. They often end and start their days at depots.
Central points of fuel.
So refueling isn't an issue. They don't just kind of wander off hither and yon into the landscape.
Yeah.
They go from point A to point B as economically as possible, and to have hydrogen refueling stations at either end of those makes a lot of sense. And generally speaking, those vehicles pollute an assload. And how nice would it be to have container trucks that weren't polluting? This is another question, like, why passenger cars? And I guess the obvious answer is Toyota makes passenger cars.
Well, they make a lot of other stuff too in Japan. And
do they?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. I mean, you probably know more about it than I do.
There's lots of people who know more than I do. So let's maybe just move on without getting ourselves into much trouble.
We'll just move on. Speaking of people who make things for other people, and aren't they the most beautiful people in the world, or something like that? Isn't that the song? I forget. After I felt like we had a kind of a responsibility to cover this, even though it's not really very enlightening. So my apologies for that. But we've talked about Apple CarPlay and about in-vehicle telematics, infotainment systems. We talk about it almost every week. And we've talked specifically that Toyota had said that they are not going to use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. They have no plans to use them in other upcoming vehicles. Tim Cook on Monday at Apple's big Apple Watch event and other new Apple stuff event announced that CarPlay, and I'm going to almost quote this. I'm going to quote this. Quote, "Now every major car brand has committed to delivering CarPlay," Cook says, unquote. Noting that 40 models will ship with software this year. So we're kind of left now in the same article. The person who wrote it, and I'm not gonna call out the site because that person probably doesn't deserve, but basically just says that Toyota did say last month that they weren't going to use CarPlay.
Well, it is Road and Track. We should at least point out that it's Road and Track, and they should have better writing than this.
Oh.
But the first 4 paragraphs talk about how Tim Cook announced that every major car brand has committed to delivering CarPlay, and then the second to last paragraph, notably absent from the list is Toyota, which has repeatedly insisted it will stick with its own in-dash awful software. Awful added by me.
I was looking for that word. Where's awful? Where's awful?
Just last month, John Hanson told the New York Times, "We may all eventually wind up there, but right now we prefer to use our in-house proprietary awful platforms." Again, awful added by me. Now, maybe in a very Apple way, because Toyota's not doing CarPlay, maybe Apple no longer considers Toyota to be a major car manufacturer. Which, wouldn't that be the most Apple thing for Tim Cook to do?
You're not using our system, you're not a major brand.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you don't exist.
It's
like, did you hear that they just reinvented USB yesterday?
They did not say that. They did not say. I actually watched the whole bloody thing afterwards.
They did not. I will give you that. They did not.
Okay.
But they did apparently invent cascading battery technology, which is not true at all. It's been used in several mobile
has it?
devices already. Yeah, LG came out with it. I think LG uses it in their cars. I mean, LG, for the batteries they provide to Hyundai, I think is the polymer batteries.
That terracing, that cascading.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of fun. Apple, well, not to go too far down a rat hole here, but they're calling their haptic feedback Taptic.
Yeah.
And watching the various presenters float back and forth kind of nonsensically between haptic and Taptic. Whatever. Just
there's something about that. Now they're saying that's going to come to the new iPhone. There's something about that makes me think of that awful thing that BlackBerry tried, where your screen vibrates when you tap the keyboard.
Yeah, I mean I've seen it in some in-dash car systems. Alpine, I think, was an early user of it, and it was literally like someone was on the other side of the screen going, Oh, it was so annoying. I'm like, I don't need that much feedback. That's fine.
Yeah.
Just blink an icon, make a check mark happen, do something. I don't need.
I even like turn off the little sounds, for when you tap the keyboard. I can't stand those little sounds.
It's just loud.
Yeah.
So so we're kind of basically left with where we were before, which is Apple says everybody's going to be using it. Toyota hasn't said anything to update what they've said, but the last thing they said is we're not going to use it, and so we apologize for the confusion, but we're doing our best to stay on this issue.
we promise to stay on our to stay on top of confusing ourselves on a weekly basis. Depending with what these people say.
You know what's going to happen now, don't you? We're going to get an email from that guy who's going to say that we should be fired because we didn't know the answer.
I always love the people who tell us to fire ourselves.
Yeah.
The people who own that What Drives Us podcast should fire those guys. They said something wrong this week.
They're dumb people. Well, the road and track reporter couldn't get the story, but we should have. Actually, that's kind of weak. Actually, we're kind of cooler than Road and Track in some ways, aren't we?
We definitely don't write the last 2 paragraphs of our show to be different from the first 4.
And we don't punch our producers.
Well, that's not Road and Track. That was
something else.
That was.
There's another rat hole.
Top Gear, right?
Yeah, Jeremy Clarkson from Top Gear is suspended because he punched one of his producers.
I thought this guy isn't he like always on, okay, Jeremy, this is your last chance, and then you're going to get fired by the BBC.
Look, he's, his job is to be an asshole.
Yeah. That's
his job. So it's like when people, and I'm not believing, you know what, if Jeremy Clarkson wasn't on Top Gear, it'd still be a fun show. And I like Jeremy Clarkson about 40% of the time, but about 60% of the time, he makes the show unwatchable.
I have to be honest, I don't watch it because of him.
I don't blame you. It just, the whole crap with the Tesla and the Leaf and his whole just like, real men need exhaust and noise, and it's like, okay, very cool. I mean, I get it. You were born in the 30s or something, and, this is what, this is, part of who you are. Okay. I mean, but, I guess it's what makes him an asshole is the assumption that his feeling is universal and everybody else feels that way.
And if they don't, they should.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I'm going to punch you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Russell Frost suspended from What Drives Us for punching Danny Cooper.
Speaking of suspending,
let's talk about that.
Tesla's suspending some jobs.
Ouch.
Yeah.
180 out of 600 jobs?
30% cut. Well, almost.
Tesla's cutting, announced this week that they were cutting, 180 out of 600 positions in China because the sales response has been slower than they expected. They have 9 stores and service centers in 6 Chinese cities. The part of this that would actually make it really informative would be if Tesla wasn't so anal retentive as to never tell us sales data and to say, hey, we thought we'd sell 5,000 cars last year and we only sold 2, or we only sold 4,500. If we had some idea of like how soft the sales were.
I don't necessarily blame Tesla too much as far as releasing sales numbers goes, because look at like Volt, what they expected to sell. What number did they give? Like 80,000 the first year or something ridiculous?
Something stupid, yeah.
Yeah, it can only get you in trouble. I don't know why these companies, I mean, I get from an investor perspective why they do it, but otherwise I don't see why they put out like, and we expect to sell 11 billion of our Leafs next year. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I agree. They live and you can live and die by that same sword.
Yeah, because as soon as you only sell 10 billion D, then
you're underperforming.
Yeah, you're a failure. You're underreporting. Whatever. The Chinese market thing is interesting. Musk said in January The sales in China have been slow because of concerns consumers have over charging electric vehicles. In other words, take out the word China, and you could just say this for the entire EV market in general. Sales in the world have been slow because of concerns consumers have over charging electric vehicles.
It's interesting. I wonder. I'm going to look what the supercharger network in China looks like.
I don't know enough about Chinese geography to really say. It says the company has 9 stores and service centers in 6 Chinese cities.
Huh. Part 2, the problem with superchargers. Oh yeah, they're pretty spread out. But there's a bunch of them. They're clustered well. But and I don't really know what Chinese travel patterns are like, So I don't have a feel for it. But range anxiety, at this point, it's interesting because I'm kind of surprised, given the how do I say this? The rising money class in China, who are buying up all kinds of other luxury items. I'm kind of surprised that Tesla is seeing a sluggish sales environment.
Well, Buick is huge over there, right? Isn't it Buick that's like blowing up?
I have heard that, but why? Just the cachet of the name Buick? Is it Tiger Woods? What?
Tiger Woods.
I can't think of anything else to associate Buick with other than Tiger Woods, old people, and Buick.
I think actually, Consumer Reports maybe. I think every one of the Buick models that's out right now is a the little certified little check mark, suggested buy or whatever.
Wow.
For each class, yeah.
Wow. I didn't even know. If you came up and told me, hey, those Buick cars they stopped making 2 years ago, sure, people sure do miss them. I'd be like, yeah, people sure do.
They stopped making those same time they stopped making Oldsmobiles, right?
Right. I mean, Buick's so off my radar. I just couldn't care less. I can't think of anything they've made since the 70s that I care about. Someone from Buick, hey, get a hold of us. Maybe we need to drive your cars.
Sure.
Here's an opportunity.
Put out a decent alt fuel car. Let us know.
Or maybe even something slightly high tech. Dare we say that?
So here's another side to this conversation. This story. And I think it is, and I can't wait for the hate email from Evan Fusco specifically. Regular panelist on the show, for those of you who don't listen all the time, and Tesla owner. I can't help wonder if maybe this is Musk, his arrogance coming through, that like we will march into the Chinese market and we will be very successful in the Chinese market, and all we have to do is throw 600 people at it and a lot of money and we will be successful. When you can see there are tons of examples of companies that go into the Chinese market and have to adjust their product, adjust their expectations, adjust their selling style, all these things to make any sort of inroads with it. Yes. Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I think that's a very good point. It could be. This could be a nice measure of Elon Musk's arrogance, hubris, that he marched into China, and now he's got to kind of take a step back and go, oops, I'm sorry. Did I say 600 people? I meant 420. I swear. You guys were misquoting me.
Yeah. That something got transposed somewhere. Trust me, I founded PayPal. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to numbers. I don't know. I mean, that's it's. I mean, China's a market that dwarfs us, and we have the hubris. We live in this bubble, where we're used to. Since we're babies, we grew up in the biggest market on the planet. And with China, and there are certainly lots of places that are bigger, China and India being two of them, but haven't been quite the economic and consumer powerhouses that we are. So that's certainly changing. If our captains of industry don't realize that, they'll probably, to use this metaphor one more time, step in some puppy poop.
Not some puppy piddle from the Mirai.
No puppy piddle from the Mirai. It's so cute. Look at the little piddle puddle. Oh.
Well, our
someone's going to get me back for that. I don't know who is going to get me back for that.
One of our most consistent listeners, Austin Kinzer, is listening to the show or watching the show live today. We appreciate you coming on, Austin.
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
Hey,
Hi, Austin. And he wanted to clarify that the thing with Clarkson, he punched a producer because the producer didn't get his lunch to him on time.
No. I hadn't seen the reason.
If Austin says it must be true.
I don't doubt it's true. I mean, apparently, the sad part is apparently there's an enormous petition to keep Clarkson. And wouldn't you like to just have a copy of that list to know who the douchebags in the UK are? I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
They're the same ones at the soccer matches that there's racists,
It just, yeah.
Same ones we have everywhere.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, that's by no means limited to the UK. Oh, we have lots of them here. And you only have to peruse the first few articles on any news page to find them. Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Frost.
Have we done a show?
We've done a show. We've successfully made it through without our trusty guests, our trusty panel.
Yeah, without we did it without our training wheels. Which is funny because we've done more than a handful of shows, just you and I, over the years.
Yeah. Well, I think it was the first show just you and I and Tony.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think within the first 10 shows, one of the shows we did was just a you and no panel show.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, we've got really awful opinions compared to everyone else, but we are some of the least educated when it comes to the entire panel.
You really didn't have to highlight that.
I just thought, for clarity's sake and for getting it all out there.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
that's fine.
So the next few weeks should be a lot of fun. Next time we have Evan on the show, we're definitely going to talk about the Tesla battery study and what effect time and heat and miles is having on the Tesla battery. That should be a fun conversation. I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking about Apple CarPlay some more as we get some more information on that. And hopefully, maybe sometime next month we can have someone from Toyota come on and try to sell us on exactly what the hell they're doing with this hydrogen program.
Yeah. And I guess, is it too early to say that we've reached out to a certain electric car maker that just laid off some people in China? Asked them if they'd like to come on the show to talk about the Model 3?
No, you didn't email their Chinese PR people because they may not be in the office.
Okay. Why take a chance? I mean, they could be there, they could not be. But so we're hoping to put together a show that will focus on Tesla, specifically the Model 3, and talk about what to look forward to there based on your requests.
Yeah. All right. Fun show. Well, I look forward to the next few shows.
Absolutely.
Everything will cover.
And it'll be fun to get the panel back, too, because then we have somebody we can be mean to other than each other.
Yeah, it gets kind of old.
Yeah, after a bit. So, let's see. You know what? Shout-outs? Can I do my shout-outs?
Please do.
Okay, so I wanted to do something that I haven't done in a while, which is a shout-out to Forbes Magazine and NBC News for being Link Bag Douches of the Week. Both of them have run big headline stories, and here's the headline from the NBC News piece. Automakers look in the mirror, see Apple, Google coming up fast. let's see. Google. Yeah, no, they don't. Okay. So anyway,
Google's tiny little car is not going to come up fast on anybody's.
I mean, the whole point of Google's car isn't even that it's a car; it's that it's autonomous.
Yeah.
And we don't even know what the hell Apple's doing. So maybe they're just angry because a non-major car maker won't put their CarPlay system in it, so they're going to make cars themselves. Maybe they're just pissed off. I don't know.
They go, oh, Toyota thinks they're the biggest in the world. Wait until we put that Apple on there, and then we're going to charge over $10,000 for a watch that'll need to be replaced every year and a half.
Don't even get me started on that, Boone.
I did that just for you, by the way. That was just set up to rise your blood pressure a little bit.
At the end of the show. Yeah. I've already had to answer, so when do you get your Apple Watch? I'm like, never. So shout out to NBC and Forbes. Hey, good job. You guys are you're being
clickbait douches of the week.
Oh, should I have done that? Should have been douche of the week.
Yes, it should be.
There we go. Shout outs. Austin, dude, how the hell did you even find us at 3:30 in the afternoon? My sincere thanks to Austin Kinzer for being such a strong supporter. My sincere thanks to my lovely wife, who is also an enormous supporter and watches the show with me and tells me what I did right and wrong after the show every week. But she's also there helping. So a shout out to Kimberly. Thank you very much. Dr. Brett Levy at Lancaster General Hospital, who nursed me through an impressively bad back a week ago today, and now I'm back. I'm sitting upright. I can kind of move. Yay! That's a wonderful thing. So thank you.
Good step.
Yeah. I'm all about that. And that's it. Let's hear from you, Mr. Cooper.
I got nothing.
Come on.
I just did a nice big update over on Prius Chat, which I think has turned out pretty well. Updated our theme a little bit to keep it modern and in touch. Also changing over our media gallery over there to make it better. I think the site's working fantastic from a mobile perspective, which 50% of our traffic now is mobile over on Prius Chat. So it's something that I've tried to focus a lot on over the last year or so. So anyway, if you haven't been to Prius Chat in a while, check it out. Let me know what you think.
Wow, it loads really fast. I'll give you that.
You can always go to priuschat.com/shop for any of your accessory needs, and you can pick up some fun stuff like these are some colors for Clasio leather seats. Might be doing a group buy on those soon.
Orange!
Pay attention. I'm telling you, the orange with the black is one of the best combos with that Habanero C that was at the first year to go before. That was one of the best combinations I've ever seen in the car.
Wow.
It was ballsy.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what's been going on in my world. So I appreciate everybody for your continued support of Prius Chat. And we appreciate your continued support of What Drives Us. You can check out all of our previous episodes at whatdrives.us. You can subscribe to us over at iTunes. We'd really appreciate it also if you'd leave us a quick, take 30 seconds out of your day and leave us a nice little review over on iTunes. You can also find us on TuneIn and Stitcher. You can also just listen to us on the website and YouTube. Now all of the videos go straight to YouTube. They're always there, always before we get the audio up on the podcatchers. So you can subscribe to us on YouTube and just listen to the audio that way. Now that their mobile app has that background audio thing, at least on Android. I don't know if it does on iOS, Russell.
I honestly don't know. That's a good question.
You can close out the app. Well, you can set the app to go in the background, and it'll still play the audio from the video you're watching.
On a mobile device? You're talking about on a desktop?
Mobile device. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. I was looking at the Facebook page, and I wanted to really quick say thanks to all 608 people who liked us on Facebook. Visit us at facebook.com/whatdrivesus. Please tell your friends, repost our stuff, share. We need your support, and we very much appreciate it.
If you want to leave us a question, you can give us a call, 575-51-DRIVE. If you want to ask us a question for us to discuss on the show, we'd appreciate you send it that way. If you would like, well, by default, we'll play your voicemail on the air. If you don't want it played on the air, just include in the voicemail that, hey, I'm Danny from Charlotte, and I don't want to be on the air, but I want to ask a question of you. So.
But Danny from Charlotte wouldn't be that shy.
No, Danny from Charlotte would be like, hey, this is my video. Put me up.
Exactly.
Danny from Charlotte has no qualms.
No qualms about being on the air. Well, we hope you don't too, so call us at 575-51-DRIVE because we would love to hear from you, even if it's just to stop us from kicking puppies. One more shout out to Austin.
All right, so I think that's it.
Do you want to say goodbye or you want me to?
I want you to because I screwed it up last week.
Oh, man. So, Mr. Cooper, always a pleasure to do the show with you.
You too, sir.
As much as I love the panel, and I do, and love those shows, we don't get to do this very often, so it's always fun when it's just you and me. Until next week. I screwed it up. I screwed it up. Oh my God! I screwed it up. Yes. Download us next week and find out what drives us.